Hey, everybody. Welcome in. It's a new show on this Monday. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. You are watching Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios. If you've got questions for us at any time during the show or off air, email us hoopsville@D3Sports.com. Join us on the old Twitter sphere at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville, Instagram and Threads at D3Hoopsville. And again, email hoopsville@D3Sports.com. Studio looks a little different. You're going to catch this every once in a while. There's a desk behind me and a chair and a lamp in a different position. This has become midterm central for at least one of my children. And so I'm leaving it until those midterms are over. I am not messing around with the setup until that is done. So forgive the slight different look to the studio. Also forgive me as I'm a little off my game today. I was this close to calling today off. I continue to deal with some kind of cold or bug or whatever I have that is just beating the hell out of me. I thought I was getting better, and then this weekend happened. I have been under the weather almost 2 weeks. I just don't know what it is. And so hopefully the voice holds out. By the end of yesterday, it was done. I'm hopefully going to avoid some congestion. We'll try and keep the voice lubricated as well, etc. Lots of tea in the last few weeks. Also a little bit of brain fog. I'm just worn out. And so if I'm a little, absent-minded, forgive me. New Top 25 will come out later today. I've got to somehow squeeze a vote in, while dealing with kids who are both dealing with midterms and not. My son's in the middle of his midterms this week. My daughter will be in the middle of hers next week. I'll get my ballot out, but tonight our Top 25 Double Take show will hit the air. Still working on who we're going to hear from. I reached out to one individual and I have not heard back from them. So we're still working on that. And we'll circle back on that. But we know on the women's side, it'll be Riley Zayas and Gordon Mann. I believe it'll be Ryan Scott, which reminds me, I need to get up my chat room. And we'll see who the other guest will be. I haven't heard back, like I said. Hopefully we will. But we'll be on the air. Yeah, Ryan Scott thinks he'll be good. We'll be on the air at 8:34 p.m. Eastern with that. Live available to Hoopsville members, which brings up buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville at the bottom of your screen, or the QR code that's in the corner. When we have guests on, it'll be at the top of your screen. Sign up for a membership, and you'll see all the perks that go along with that, including access to my ballot, and which hopefully tomorrow I'll have posted. I was a little delayed last week due to illness and other things, but I don't have anything going tomorrow other than prep work. So hopefully we can get that done tomorrow. I just realized my tote board is inaccurate. We're going to have to fix that. We'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, that's coming up tonight, and a quick look at the top 25 in terms of how they fared. And just a shout out to Daryl Nestor, who posts this on the boards, d3boards.com. So I always have a cheat sheet. Of course, we mentioned last show, Randolph-Macon lost to Averett. Then they got past Guilford by just 10 points, which is maybe a little concerning. Trinity had a 3-0 week, defeating Middlebury by 17 and Williams by a whole bunch, 73-57, and beating Worcester State by 50. Emory beat Rochester by a scant 5. That was on the road. Chicago manhandled number 8 WashU 85-62. Mount Union had a 2-0 week, defeating Marietta by 15 and Wilmington by 7. La Crosse had a week to forget. Oshkosh beat them in overtime 121-115, and then they lost to Platteville 89-78. The number 6 Eagles will plummet. Mary Washington got past Swarthmore. WashU, as we mentioned, lost. St. Thomas, Montclair, Claremont, Munscripps, Redlands, Tufts, and Stevens Point all got through the week unscathed. Number 15, Roanoke, lost to W&L. Chris McHugh's squad, the Generals, playing real well. They got a 1-point win over Roanoke. So now Roanoke's 9-4, and even I'm going to have to start figuring out what I'm going to do with Clay Nunley's squad. Calvin got 2-0 week. We mentioned we don't know they're going to get very much challenge in the MIA the way it's looking this year. Eau Claire also lost to Platteville. Platteville had a banger of a week. They beat Eau Claire 88-55. Illinois Wesleyan got past Augustana and North Park. Gustavus got past St. Olaf and Minnesota Morris. Christopher Newport beat Johns Hopkins in a thriller 68-65. Oshkosh lost to Stevens Point. It was just, we joke about the wackiness of the WIAC or the wackiness. It lived up to it this week for sure. Endicott got past Western New England and Haverford. York lost again. They're now 11-2. They lost to Hood, who was receiving votes, 95-78. As we mentioned, Hopkins lost. Then they needed a buzzer beater to beat Gettysburg. I'm not voting for them. I don't think they stay in the top 25, to be honest. I know technically they lost to a team ahead of them, but it's that Gettysburg result. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They're like, oh, Hopkins is really good. I said, yeah, they're a good team. I'm just not sure they're top 25 good. Receiving votes category, Catholic and Hamden Sydney had good weeks. Bates lost twice. They're now 11-3. Lost to Amherst and Hamilton. The Hamilton loss is really the killer there. E-Town lost twice to Scranton and Wilkes, and it wasn't close in the Wilkes game. John Carroll lost to Ohio Wesleyan. North Park, as we mentioned, lost to Illinois Wesleyan. Muskegum lost to Ohio Northern. Williams lost twice out of 3, beat Springfield, but lost to Wesleyan and Trinity. Maryville did not play. Chapman lost twice to Cal-Lou and Claremont Mudd Scripps. Cortland lost to Oneonta, and NYU lost to Brandeis. That's on the men's side. On the women's side, NYU did not lose to Brandeis. They continue to be undefeated. NYU's now won 74 straight. In fact, the top 12 did not lose on the women's side, which is going to make tonight's top 25 double take show probably a little bit less interesting. Illinois Wesleyan, though, got handled by Chicago 73-54 before then beating Bethel, Wisconsin Lutheran, and Carroll. No, this is the wrong one. I apologize. What am I looking at? Try this again. All right, top 6 did not lose in women's basketball. Hope did lose to Trine 67-61, which was an interesting one. Then just rolled over all of that 104-43. Chicago handled Wash U. That's the game I was thinking of. 68-39. So WashU would love to not see Chicago, and they won't until the last weekend of the season. Trinity lost twice. Lost to MIT 59-55, Middlebury 64-62 before getting past Williams by 13. Amherst lost twice to Springfield 70-66 and to Bates 63-54. I think maybe my comments about Amherst on Monday are ringing a little bit more true. Shenandoah in 23rd lost to WNL, who was ranked ahead of them. Eau Claire women had a bad week. They lost to Platteville and Stout game in overtime. And Concordia Moorhead lost to St. Mary 63-51. The receiving votes category, Calvin lost to Alma. Gettysburg lost. This game seems bigger than it was. 67-46, Gettysburg lost to Johns Hopkins. But until about halfway through the fourth quarter, that game was about a 10-point game. St. Mary's lost to Bethel. Redlands lost to Cal-Lou. E-Town lost to Scranton, no surprise. Susquehanna lost to Scranton, no surprise. La Crosse lost twice to Oshkosh and Platteville. Widener lost to Alvernia and Messiah, and Springfield lost to Smith. There you go. Got through our top 25. On the women's side, I don't see a lot of shakeup. Hope will fall. Chicago will take a hit because 68-39 just got absolutely handled by WashU. So Chicago will take a hit. Trinity might fall out, probably will fall out of the top 25. Amherst will probably fall out of the top 25. Shenandoah, I'm not sure what they'll do. 3-point loss to number 6 WNL. I think that stands as they deserve to be in the top 25. Eau Claire will fall out of the top 25. Concordia, I'm not sure what the voters will do. And the receiving votes category doesn't give them a lot of options. So I'll be fascinated to see how that all turns out. On the men's side, it's going to be tough as voters. We got a lot of teams that are rock solid and teams that we're going to have to revisit. Let's talk about the show. We got some great stuff up ahead. It's all teams that are not receiving votes in the latest top 25 poll. They may receive votes this week, but even then, I'm not 100% sure. East Texas Baptist Blake Arbogast will join us, the head coach of the women's program. Will Chandler from Misericordia men's team will join us. Chris Martin from Loras' men's team. And then we're going to have a special one. And my tote board, we will try and get changed. That says USSMA. It should say USMMA, as in United States Merchant Marine Academy, not United States Shipping something. Who knows? I probably got the USS thing confused in my head when I was doing that. Who knows? But Clara Barton and Emily Grassler will join us, sophomore and junior, who are both averaging double doubles this season in points and rebounds for a Merchant Marine squad that has scored the most points against NYU that any team has scored in 2 seasons. We'll talk to them about that. What's it like to be at the USMMA? What's it like to make the decision to go to Kings Point? That's all ahead here on Hoopsville, plus any questions that you all may have. It's a little quiet on the Western Front right now, but tune in. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what's going on. There's some voters who've already put out their early top 25 ballots. I avoid those at all costs. I do not want to be swayed or influenced or impacted by anybody's decisions on what they are doing in terms of voting. And so I don't look at them. I'm not interested. I don't care. I stay away at all costs. But they're on there if you want to take a peek at what they look like. I will certainly look at them after I've voted. Once I've voted, I will then maybe take a peek, and I don't even look at all of them, to be honest with you. Again, I got my own vote going, and that's all I'm super uber interested in. This is the NCAA Convention week. It shifts. It used to be essentially some work on Tuesday, starts on Wednesday, some business work on Thursday, the official business meeting on Friday, which is where they take a lot of straw polls, including on legislation that'll be voted on later. And then Saturday morning, they do the official voting and all that stuff, and everybody gets out of Dodge. And usually by the end of the voting, people are already leaving because they're trying to get to their flights. So if there's any re-voting or any of that, they're gone. And I didn't love that. I wish people would stick around. They've shifted it a day, which I hope allows people to stick around. I don't know for sure. It's actually down in the DC region, and I can't get there this year. I'm bummed because last time it was here at the Gaylord Center. I enjoyed going down, even spent a night or two, got some interviews done, and got to learn a lot more about what's going on. But I have gigs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, plus Hoopsville on Thursday. So there's just no room to get down there. Vote is Friday morning, so move everything up. So a little bit of work Tuesday, some more work and sessions and conferences get together on Wednesday. Thursday is the business session with the straw votes, and then Friday is the official business session or the voting session for all 3 divisions. Later in the show, we'll go over some of the items that are up for voting. I think 1 or 2 of them won't get there. I've already spoken about those. But I'll speak on another one. The quote-unquote gray shirt could be coming back to D3. I'll give you a hint of my 2 cents on this. I understand the premise, but I have slight concerns. We'll talk about that later in the program as well. So there you go. There's the run of the show today. And again, hopefully we can get through it. We'll go a little bit past 2 hours, especially with my 2 cents. Trying to think. Thursday's show will be at noon Eastern time. No conflicts there. But next Monday, so this Monday, or a week from today, I should say, we're going to have to juggle the schedule. I've got a gig in the middle of the day due to CBS deciding to showcase D1 basketball the entire day. So I've got a 1 p.m. game. So that either means we have to do like not even a 10 a.m. show. We'd have to be a 9 a.m. show. And I'll be honest with you, that ain't happening. So the other option is we probably come home and do maybe a 5 p.m. show with the top 25 then at 8:30. The other choice was we move it to Tuesday. And I'm only saying that just now off the top of my head. I'm looking at Tuesday, next Tuesday. It's possible. So right now I've got it tentatively scheduled as a 5 p.m. show. Come back, do the 5 p.m. show, wrap that up, and about an hour later, we do the top 25 show. I'm going to see how this illness is doing as I get closer to that date. Worst case, maybe we move to Tuesday at noon just to save myself. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge. And with that in mind, we take a break. When we come back, we'll get into our segments and we'll head out to Texas, even though Texas was out in Connecticut this weekend. We talked to Blake Arbogast about the Tigers women's basketball program and a fascinating ASC. We'll talk to him about his team flying a bit under the radar. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios. So much ahead of us. Interact with us. Send us your questions. Chat with us. Whatever you want to do. We'll look forward to hearing from you. Back with more after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us. All of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you are well. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. Lots of other social ways you can contact us. I'm in the middle on the Twitter sphere, getting our tweet out the door. I will say that when we get to, Facebook and Instagram, I didn't get to promoting the show this week. for a host of stupid reasons. We'll put out a larger tweet later with the entire show. Also, I noticed, and I'm going to have to go circle back on this, I don't think last week's Thursday show got out onto the podcasting realm. We tried several times to get it out the door, and it didn't go, and I'm not really sure why. So I've got to look into that as well. If you are a fan of the podcast and you're listening to this archived, hopefully you've already listened to that show. If you haven't, we'll get it up and get it circled back in as soon as we can. The Top 25 show is available if you missed that. Again, you can watch it live and have access to the on-demand for up to a week ahead of the general public if you join us at buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville and buy a membership. All right, let's talk women's basketball. East Texas Baptist is one of several teams in the ASC, 4 to be exact, with Hardin Simmons, Howard Payne, and Mary Hardin Baylor, getting used to this evolutionary world, as it were, because just as they're getting used to these foursome, things will change again. But that means they're kind of like the C2C, scheduling wherever they can before they'll get into some conference action in the middle of January onward, as they'll play a double round robin against their fellow mates. ETBU is 14-4 though right now, and have got some solid victories along with some solid mileage under their belts. Joining us to talk all about it on the Hoopsville Hotline is the head coach of ETBU women. It's Blake Arbogast. Coach, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always a good time to get on the show when we have this opportunity, so I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. 14-4, admittedly, 3 of the 4 losses came in a 4-day stretch, or a 4-game stretch, not 4 days. You beat Trinity, Texas, which was pretty impressive on the 17th of December, then lost to Whitewater the next day, then lost to Eau Claire on the 29th, beat Trinity again the next day. Trinity would really not like to see you anymore. And then St. Thomas tripped you up. But outside of that, St. Thomas got you earlier in the season. You've got a lot of really good games under your belt. It's just one little stretch around the holidays that was a little bit of a blip against some really good talent. You got to be happy with the season.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly pleased. Anytime we can get quality opponents in non-conference, we look forward to those opportunities, especially just with how competitive our conference is. It's important to get those games. And like you said, I don't know, anytime Cam Hill and I can play each other, we're going to look forward to those matchups because it's just 2 good teams going at it. So credit to him of always trying to be willing to play, especially in Texas. But this year it was get a game where you can with the way the ASC is. So we traveled all over so far in non-conference.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to call Cam. He may have second opinions on this after 2 losses to you guys in a span of 12 days.
I think Cam's always up for it, and he's had our numbers in the years past, and we've always responded. So, but it looks like he's kind of got things going in their new conference too. He picked up some big wins as of late as well.
Yeah, they're having an odd season, but you're right. They're doing pretty well in the SAA. And by the way, your scores are almost identical. 70-58 the first time, 75-56 the second time around. You just were out in Connecticut. You played St. Joseph and Salve Regina. We saw Salve Regina in Las Vegas. You got wins 83-53, 81-46 respectfully. You've played a lot of games, obviously, in Texas. You've gotten teams like Linfield to come and visit. You've also traveled into the kind of the Midwestern region, Louisiana, and those areas, Centenary, Rhodes, Berea. What was it like putting this schedule together? Because this ASC has been so much in flux over the last few years. You had to probably scratch your head wondering what you did or didn't need to do.
Yeah, it got to a point just because we didn't know what the ASC was going to look like, and we've had talks of adding new teams and all of this. So really, it was get the games where you can early on. Try to get some early January with the unknown, and then we actually found out our conference schedule once the semester started. So then it was kind of like teams were scrambling. I know Kendra there at Hardin Simmons had already had some games scheduled during the January time. So really it was just working together as a conference to make this happen. And then for us, it was anyone that would say yes. And, I was fortunate enough here that our administration gave us the okay to take some trips like we did in order to get the games. And then working with Katie there at Mary Hardin Baylor she joined our classic tournament that we had and we joined hers and just kind of pieced it together. It's not fun trying to schedule 18, 19 non-conference games, but, worked together and got it done. So.
Yeah, and we can circle back on what the future is. This is a team that won the conference last season, got to the NCAA tournament, had a heartbreaker of a loss to Texas Lutheran, 62-59, I think on your home floor, right?
Correct.
Is this kind of spurring this team on? Was last year's kind of reemergence back into the national scope of things, a 9-win improvement over the year before, and an entrance to the tournament not going the way you wanted? Is that kind of driving this squad?
Yeah, we tried not to talk much about last year. I know, a lot of people said early on, like, you're losing so much production from last year's team that won a conference championship. That was our first time to host a national round game. So it was great for our program. But the only thing we kind of talked about last year was that 8 of our returners got that experience. So that was what we were going to lean on as far as last year's stuff. But all 8 of them are in different roles this year. So I think in a way it's an underlining driving force that hopefully kept those 8 returners a little hungry and humble in the off season. But we've tried not to talk about that much last year's results and season. Like, we enjoyed it, but this year's a new team and new season. And as most teams know and most coaches will say, like, when you start thinking about success and get complacent or whatever that looks like, instead of just trying to take it day by day, and you'll kind of get snake bit, if you will. But for us, we just had a new team, try to find a new identity. And I think these non-conference games helped us find kind of who we're going to be going into conference play.
Again, 23-5 last year was a huge improvement from the year, kind of a 500 year. It was almost like the year before was that year where you would finally hit that Mendoza line between what was there when you took over the program, what you were trying to bring it, like the crossing point, as it were, right? Sure. And now this is really your program after taking it over post-COVID. What have you tried to drive in terms of recruiting and style and all that with this program? What have you been trying to turn this into, as it were?
Yeah, no, I think Rusty Rainbolt, the coach that I was fortunate to coach under the 1 year I was an assistant here before COVID and everything, has been a good mentor of mine, of just making sure that, we're not going to be the NYUs or whatever. Like, we are ETBU. So the recruiting process is find who fits us best. Sometimes there's talent that fits us best and goes elsewhere. In Texas, there's Division I's and JUCOs and Division IIs. There's a lot we try to compete. So if we get discouraged by losing a quality kid there, we can lose sight of what we're trying to bring in. And that's someone that's going to fit our university first and foremost, and then try to piece that together. And I think me and my staff have done a good job at finding what best fits our coaching style, but also our university. So, it's been a lot of the same type of kids, but also different than Rainbolt had before me. So, and then also it's different times with NIL and all the different things that have come about the last couple of years. So if you got any solutions or know anyone out there that would love to come to ETBU, send them our way, because that's always a struggle, especially down here in the South, is just trying to find kids that want to go pay money to play basketball. So, but we're enjoying it. Again, it's a big blessing, but finding the kids that best fit East Texas Baptist University is our number one priority.
Yeah, the illusions of scholarships, right?
Right.
Maybe the false illusions, as it were.
Sure.
Yeah, I could turn that into a business model, maybe. Hey, so listen, this is an interesting squad because you have a handful of seniors, obviously, players like Bickford and Breemsdorfer, but it's sophomores leading the way. And the other thing that jumps out at me is it seems very well-rounded and somewhat equal. Macy Jones is a sophomore, leads the team at 12.5 points a game, doesn't shoot very often from deep, pretty good rebounder, obviously a presence inside, right?
Sure.
Marley Keith's a sophomore, but she's at 9.5 points a game. Then you get to the seniors in Bickford and Breemsdorfer. They're at 9 points a game each, both pull down rebounds. And then you go to another underclassman in Hannah Ayala, junior, I believe. She's pulling in the 10 rebounds, but only 8.5 points, i.e., it feels balanced in both scoring, in class makeup, in rebounding, in everything. Like, this feels very equal to some degree. Is that kind of the mentality?
Yeah, I don't know if that was the mentality going in. I think that's just credit to our girls and just stepping up in different roles. I mean, we've won different ways throughout the year. And again, I think it's a testament to our girls, but us trying to find our identity this year. And I think early on, Macy Jones is a big focal point for us with an inside present and the ability that she has to finish around the rim. But teams pick up and game plan for that. So then it leaves opportunities for the others. And then one big thing is like, we are balanced. We share the ball for the most part. I wish we'd take care of the turnover number, but that's a credit to our balanced scoring is, teams will game plan for one way and that opens up, a big night for someone else. And then like Beamsdorfer has been great for us coming off the bench to complement Macy Jones. And she's a very versatile player, so she can score different ways and has really come along as of late. So balanced is good. I think for us, it makes it hard to scout and prep because we can win different ways and score different ways.
Yeah, Bickford and Ayala have split some of the starting lineups, but as you said, Beamsdorfer coming off the bench. So two of your players are essentially off the bench scoring a lot of points. And it's not a deep squad. You don't have a lot of players, to your recruiting comment earlier, so everyone's got to contribute.
Sure. And I think if you kind of look at it, we have 3 freshmen that as of late has been big. And, I think for them, it was kind of getting acclimated to college and getting ready and just seeing what their role was, how they were going to fit. And the last couple of games, they've stepped up in big ways. And then games that we've gotten foul trouble, they've stepped up with, it doesn't look like big minutes or anything, but for us to get, into the next quarter or the second half, holding their ground and having positive minutes. And that's going to be a huge key to our success going into conference. Those minutes that may not look eye appealing on a stat sheet to those 3 freshmen or maybe the bottom of our bench are going to play a big key role. And I trust them. I trust them to do their role and their job when their number's called. So again, not strength in numbers, but we got a mighty 11 out there that will go to battle. And they got exposed to those Wisconsin teams, which were great experiences for us, even though the result may not have been there, but those minutes were big for us.
You have an interesting schedule ahead. Obviously, we talked about the 18 games, and you talked about where you were. Mary Hardin Baylor, you played George Fox, and a couple days later, everybody came to your place, played back-to-back. You played back-to-back twice this season. You just got done playing kind of a hybrid of that. You had a day off in between. The rest of the way, though, is going to be conference action. You'll start with Mary Hardin Baylor, then Howard Payne, then Hardin Simmons, and then Mary Hardin Baylor, Howard Payne, Hardin Simmons.
Sure.
One game a week the rest of the way, football style. The ASC taking a page out of its football. So for the rest of the season, you'll play 6 games on a Saturday, nothing else. Are you a little concerned, obviously the conference tournament after that you'll get used to that a little bit before you then suddenly get thrown into multiple games or back-to-back games potentially in the NCAA tournament, should you get there in March?
Sure. I think that's a good problem to have if and when we get there, right? But for us, it's tricky. It's a situation that's why we try to jump into those games in non-conference to have back-to-backs when we could, or maybe 3 games in 4 days, just to kind of keep our girls as a reference points when and if those opportunities come. Crazy enough, we when Linfield came, we had a rain delay. I don't know if you heard about that, but our building leaked in our main gym, and it was like literally raining off the lights. So we had to adapt and go to the aux gym. And I just told our girls, hey, you just never know. You got to be ready for whatever. So, credit to Linfield during that time of just being go with the flow. But it was kind of a crazy deal. Indoor sport finally had a rain delay. But credit to that, like this one game a week, I don't know. It's kind of new territory for us, how to manage that and what's best going to go to keep us kind of in a rhythm and sharp without the burnout of five days practice for one game. So we're going to take that week by week and see what happens. But yeah, it'll be a good problem if and when we get to the national tournament to relate back to that. But right now it's kind of managing this 1 game a week philosophy or stretch that we have.
Yeah, I mean, it's polar opposite in November. Back to that Linfield group, that was a third game in 5 days, but really if you expand out, you played, was it 7 games in 2 weeks, essentially, 15 days.
Right.
Insane. I don't remember if I do remember it was rained out, but we've had some oddities of late. Even the Bulls had a game postponed due to condensation on the floor.
Right.
Virginia Wesleyan just had a game that when I asked their coach, he wasn't even sure why they were delayed, but something to do with moisture. Yeah, Mother Nature and water and all of that loves to wreak havoc. I'll be honest, I've completely lost track of what's going on with the ASC. I know it's down to Mary Harn, Baylor, Howard Payne, Hardin Simmons, and yourself. I know there's changes afoot. I know there's been conversations with the C2C which seem to have gone or have ended going nowhere. Do you even know what the future holds and what you all have to do next year and the year after and all that in this ever-changing scenario?
Yeah, so we got confirmation earlier in the school year that we have confirmed 2 new teams starting next year. That'll be McMurray and Schreiner University, both that were previously a part or affiliated with the ASC. So that those 2 have been confirmed back. So we'll have 6 for next year. And then, I'm sure our commissioner and everybody else is trying to rally the troops and get some more. But that has been confirmed to us coaches that 2 new teams, McMurray and Schreiner, will be joining the 4 current ASC members starting next year. And that's like a 10-year agreement or something. So that those 6 will be solidified for some years now, but I'm sure there's some talks that trying to add and get some more back into the ASC.
Yeah, I did remember that. I think there were some guarantees involved in that. And you said 10-year guarantee, which is just unheard of. There's a lot of schools when they leave a conference have to give a 2-year warning or they have to give up their deposit, but a 10-year guarantee is just unheard of. Hey, you're 127-36 since taking over this program. 60-15 in the ASC alone. How was the transition over from Randy and what's been the secret for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's a testament to Coach Rainbow beforehand and then our administration, one giving a young guy in a crazy pandemic time an opportunity. So I'm forever grateful for that. But those numbers don't come if you don't have the right type of kids and the right type of support backing through all that. So those numbers are a product of the players to come and go and administration supporting opportunities. I think like during COVID, we were one of the few teams that had a full schedule that year during the pandemic. So just a testament to it takes a village, and that's what it does here. And it's nothing special I do other than I'm trying to be true to who I am and true to who we are to this university. And the results come and follow that. And, there's times where it's good and bad and ugly. And sometimes, it is what it is. For us, it's just trying to make lasting memories. And that's what we try to do every year is I try to schedule one trip where we go out and play quality teams, but also get that experience for our young ladies to leave here. And I hope they don't leave here remembering their record as much as hopefully having one of their teammates next to them on their wedding day or there to support them when they have their first kids. Like that's what's important to us here. And, when you genuinely approach it that way, hopefully the results come when you can have an authentic approach to those relationships. So I don't know if it's anything I do. I just blow a whistle and kind of yell and point different directions. And our girls are the ones that put it in the hoop to make us look good, I guess. So.
And this region, right? I mean, you're a Howard Payne grad, if memory serves.
That's correct.
And then University of Ozarks for a while as well. You certainly know this region and especially the East Texas area pretty well. That's got to play a big part.
Yeah, I think anytime in the coaching world, you build networks and connections, whether it's with high school coaches, AAU coaches, other college coaching, like people say the coaching world is small and some can be overwhelmed, but it's all about networks and relationships and staying down in this region, in this area. I've been fortunate enough to have some great relationships in all areas and all levels. And that definitely helps. It definitely helps get kids, and it definitely helps our kids find places that might, if ETBU is not the best fit for them, then I can hopefully reach out to other coaches and find them the best fit to give them the best college experience. So, yeah, definitely staying. At one time, my wife told me I was going to be affiliated with every ASC member. I was at Howard Payne and Ozarks and ETBU, and just keep the list going. But no, I've enjoyed my time here, and it's been good, and just looking forward to keep riding the wave, see what's ahead.
It might be blasphemy if you end up at UHMB. I'm just a guess.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's going to be acceptable.
Nothing against them, but I don't know if my old players would really, they might disown me, and yeah, that might not be good. There's a healthy rivalry there. I have so much respect for that university and Katie and really everyone affiliated there, even in the conference. When it's only 4 schools, we got to stay tight, but there's a healthy rivalry between that. There's no doubt that these 4 schools aren't having the success they're having if we didn't have the respect for the coaches in charge of each program. So I think that's also a driving force that keeps us motivated and accountable in the recruiting world and everything else. So
yeah, it's a fair point. Hey, Blake, appreciate the time and the insight. Great to learn more about ETBU. It's been a while since we had you on, and I love diving in and getting to know you better. I'm fascinated with the football schedule ahead. I'll look forward to checking that one out. As always, though, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in today?
No, I think first off, Dave, thanks for having me as always, and what you're doing for our sport and our level is great. So always a treat when I get the opportunity to be on. So thanks for that. And then again, just anyone that doesn't know much about East Texas Baptist University, I encourage you to take a look at us. You'll see not hopefully some good basketball, but you'll see just girls taking it differently and attacking and just finding true joy in the sport. And I think sometimes this day and age in college athletics, it can be such a business and an operation, but take a peek at our girls. I think you would enjoy watching us, and hopefully, Dave, will be on the show sooner than later.
Yeah, you never know, right? I'm looking forward, like I said, to the schedule. I appreciate your time coming on and chatting about the squad, especially after a long trip out to New England and back. And take care. We'll look forward to catching up.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Dave.
You too. Like Arbogast joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Again, Mary Hardin Baylor coming up on Saturday, first of 7 games in 7 weekends. It's football time in the ASC basketball. We'll look forward to seeing how that all plays out. When we come back, we'll switch to men's basketball, head up to the Northeast to some degree. NEPA, Northeast Pennsylvania, that is, to talk to Misericordia men's basketball. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by DIII Hoops. Back with more after this.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% would go pro. That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract. No autographs. No private jets. No fan clubs. No Hall of Fame inductions. Instead, they will walk away with something much more valuable.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Hey all, welcome back. Sorry about that. In the middle of setting up a tweet to send out the door about our next guest, I remembered I spent last night prepping my tweets to either use during the day or to use in this circumstance. And so a little delayed there, scrambling to fix the obvious. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. Lots of ways to get a hold of us. You're not going to recognize, if you just checked out Twitter, the face on this individual, because the man has gone full-on beard. I only say that because I'm looking at the picture going, that's not you. By the way, to all you paying attention at home, we fixed the tote board. USMMA now, not USSMA. No one said I graduated with a good GPA, okay? I'm Dave McHugh. Thanks for tuning in to Hoopsville on this show live as we continue along. Thanks to you tuned in live. If you're watching the archive, I appreciate that as well. Head to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Sign up for a membership. Help us continue the work that we're doing covering Division III. We've got lofty goals ahead of us. Want to do so much more in the realm of Division III. By the way, coming up, we still have a conversation on the men's side with Loras, and on the women's side, a great conversation with two student athletes at Merchant Marine, plus 2 cents on one of the topics they'll be voting on potentially at the convention and other things going on at the convention. All right, Misericordia men's basketball and the MAC Freedom jumps out at you if you're taking a look at them, because they are having another one of those really good seasons. I think it's kind of synonymous for the program. Remember, this is a program that resulted in one of their coaches leaving for a women's Scranton, kicking ass there and going on to D1 as a result of it. Well, Chandler's got a 10-3 squad. He's an alum of the program. They were 15-11 last year, 13-13 the year before. So you could say they're already well and head and shoulders above those last couple of seasons. And they are 2-0 in the MAC Freedom, the ever-changing MAC Freedom. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk all about it is Will Chandler, the head coach, as I said, alum of the program. Will, I saw a shout-out to you on the website talking, I think it was about you as an alum. And I'll admit, I didn't recognize you. Those were some old pics. If anybody decided to do that with me, I think they'd be scratching the barrel to try and find some black and whites of me.
You know, that's some hair then.
Yeah.
No facial hair. Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, there was a hairline that threw me, to be completely honest. Listen, again, 10-3 this season, a loss out of the gate to Marietta by 8. You got back up. You started winning. You've had some wins that I looked at and went, ooh, I don't know about that one. And then you've had some losses and went, oh, that had to hurt. I don't know if you want to talk about Randolph-Macon.
We could talk about it all.
Oh, okay. And even Hood got you guys. What I'm trying to say is I'm actually, when I thought about going to you, because you're on top of the conference and playing well, 10-3, there's results in here that I'm like, okay, this team looks like they could be pretty good. And then there's some results in there I go, wait, what's this season been like? Because it does feel like a yin and a yang.
It's been exciting for us because we are very good defensively. That's what we're, hanging our hat on now. But if you guys know, my teams in the past have been very good offensively. So me as a coach is frustrating. But I also love the defensive side of the ball now, which I'm learning as I get older as a coach to love a little more. But we're just struggling to score. I think, the Marietta game was the first game of the year. We didn't have any scrimmages because we played 2 Division I schools. So that was our first real competition against another team. And, they came out, they have the Hardin kid who didn't miss against us. But we still had a lead with 8 minutes left in the game, then it just pulled away a little bit at the end, But like I said, the Swarthmore win was great there. They're a tough team at Swarthmore. They don't lose much at home. And we went down there and, got a win. And then Randolph-Macon, I thought I always want to go down there and play them. I know Josh pretty well. And, they're as advertised. We happened to play our worst game of the year, against the number 2 team in the country. So it wasn't a good mix, and I said that, it was our first game back from break and we absolutely no-showed and they made us pay for it. Then we come back and play Hood, and Hood's very good. I was very impressed with Hood. And I thought we played well against them defensively. I thought we held them below all their averages, and we just couldn't score enough. They just keep scoring, no matter what. And they beat us on the glass. I think one of only 2 games or 3 games we got beaten on the offense or on the rebounding side of it, and they just kept hitting shots, And like I said, I saw what they did to York this past week, and so yeah, they're for real, Hood. And we battled them. We battled them as long as we could, but like I said, offensively we're a little. We're struggling right now offensively, and luckily our defense is carrying us.
Defense certainly will do a lot if you're having a bad day, except maybe if you're playing Randolph-Macon. That's about the one occasion. It's weird. Those games will, this well, you either play a team like a Randolph-Macon and your squad is fully up for it, and they play lights out, maybe a degree and a half better than you ever expected this squad to play. Or it's deer in the headlight, right? And it's like, oh my God, we're down here. Woo, what's this crowd all about? What's this gym all about? Who's this? And it's over before the ball gets tipped. I'm sensing maybe that's what it was a little on the second part.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. And I made a mistake as a coach. We drove down the day of, which I never usually do, but
that's a haul, man.
I kind of want to get a little shoot around in before we went down, instead of getting down there the day up. But like I said, I'm still learning as a coach, even though I've been doing this 11 years. But things happen. I'm glad it made us better playing Randolph-Macon and Hood. It made us 100% better and prepared for the conference. So that was part of it. And like I said, hopefully we can figure this offensive side out, and keep playing defense like we're playing.
Tell me about this team. You have a huge roster, which, interestingly enough, for some of the squads we're talking to, it's the polar opposite. You've got a ton of players listed on the roster sheet. You go to the cumulative stats. You played a lot of players in at least a handful of games. You play a lot of players in most of your games. In fact, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. You'll go 9 deep every game. Yep. What is it? What's the makeup of this team? I see 4 seniors. I see a whole mess of players. I see a lot of players getting minutes. What's the makeup? What's the design?
So most people don't know we have a full JV schedule. We have a full JV team. Jack Gallagher, who's one of my better players on varsity, played JV his whole freshman year. Ryan Nasuti, who's getting a lot of minutes on varsity, played JV all last year. DJ Orloff played JV all last year. And that's why I think we got picked 5th in the league, because I saw we lost 2-time player of the year, Lesdowski. We lost RJ. You know, we lost 2 starters from last year. I think that's why teams kind of picked us 5th in the league to start. But having a JV program has been great for us because these guys are getting game reps against very good JUCO teams and other Division III junior varsity teams. And they're ready for varsity when it's their time's called. You know, I think this proves with Jack Gallagher, DJ Orloff, Willa Nosey played JV a little bit. So it helps the program having the JV piece. I think more teams are going to start to do it because I know a lot of coaches are calling me about it, how it works and how it breaks down. And I think more teams are going to start doing it because roster sizes in our area are getting pretty big. You know, our area is loaded with Division IIIs and Division II schools. So, you know, roster sizes are getting bigger and roster spots are getting limited. So I think more teams are going to have JV just to bring more kids into the school. You know, but we do it like I don't put a kid on JV and say you're never going to play again varsity. I put him on JV for him to prove he could play varsity for me, and it gets him better. You know, I think that's why our program, that's why you see our roster out like it is. You know, we're top heavy. You know, I think 2 seniors play a lot, 1 senior off the bench, and then the rest is sophomores and juniors. And I still have some freshmen that could play that just guys are ahead of them right now that they're not playing. You know, so we're in a good situation where I think we're built for the long run right now, and I think the JV piece helped that.
It's obviously in this day and age of also retention and bringing in students, leaning on athletics to bring in student athletes, because it's not a guarantee in that's in the sense of you always will have students, but you always will have a certain number of students. You can rely to some degree on those numbers. How do you, though, sell that? Because in the world of retention, a student's going to want, especially nowadays, which is, as you know, has changed a lot since you and I were playing athletics. Student wants to play, student wants to be involved. If they think they're going to get on the JV team and not get to varsity, say, till their junior year, they may go elsewhere. So how do you sell the JV angle of it and retain those students and keep them in the system?
So JV, we do lose guys on JV. It happens. You know, it's just, you know, guys think they could play and they go somewhere else. And I'm not going to sit here, like most of the time they go somewhere else and they don't play there. You know, so, you know, my biggest thing.
Oh, absolutely. Grass is not always greener.
I try to tell the parents that, hey, he's going to play real games. They practice with the varsity team. They get better. You know, they push our varsity guys make them better. And if you could play, you could play. If you could play, you're going to play varsity. And I think that's the part about having JV where I don't get any problems from parents, because if your kid's not doing well in JV, the parent's not going to complain, hey, my son should be playing varsity when they're not playing well JV. So it helps me out a little bit more. And I have a great coaching staff too that handles the JV. You know, I'm there, but they handle the scheduling, they handle the games, they travel. I don't, you know, all I do is practice with the JV guys and the rest is up to my assistant coaches. And but it seems I've been doing this all 11 years. I've been here. You know, I've had a JV team every year but the year back from COVID. And there's been no complaints. I think guys, as long as guys are playing, a lot of these guys just want to play college basketball no matter what. You know, and prove to me they could play varsity. And, you know, sometimes it happens. Like in my case, four guys right now are getting major minutes varsity, started off at the JV. You know, so I've been lucky with it. You know, I've been lucky they developed and they took the next step to go to varsity. And but then I have, then there's the other guys that haven't, but they've still been a part of the team for 4 years. And I let them walk their senior year and, you know, hopefully get them in a varsity game once, you know, 1 or 2 varsity games and go from there.
Blows my mind you saying you've been there 11 years. Where the heck has 11 years gone?
Tell me about it. I know.
It feels like you got hired just a few days ago. You took over for Trevor, right?
Yeah, I was Trevor's assistant. So I was here 16 years total.
Right.
So I started, you know, when I got back from playing professional, Trevor asked me to be an assistant when I got inducted to the Hall of Fame here. And I said, yeah, you know, and I enjoyed it. And then Trevor, like you said, he went to the women's side and I took over for him here. And, you know, he's still doing his thing and I'm still here.
Someday I'll share the story with everybody. Maybe it'll be in my memoir of the day I called Trevor about that job and he accidentally picked up the phone. And I know he accidentally picked up the phone because I accidentally called him a second time. And I mean that. I did. I didn't intend to call him a second time. That's the interesting twist on this. Well, you had a stellar career at Misericordia. some of the best teams that Cougars have had. You were a 4-time athlete of the year for the school, earned a degree in business administration. I think you still hold 9 of the career records, 5 of the single game marks. That could have changed. I may have missed it. You then went overseas, played for 5 years in Europe, South America, and even for the U.S. Basketball League. And then you went into coaching. It's not abnormal. It's just, especially at the Division III level, it's not necessarily normal. What is it? And now you're staying with it. Like, you're there. You're invested. You're fully on board. What is it about this about coaching that you have so latched onto, and how much of the pro experience are you able to still tie in?
I love being around the guys. I really do. It keeps me young. And just seeing these guys grow up from, freshman year to senior year and seeing them graduate, it makes me happy. And, like I said, I have a daughter. She loves being around the guys too. She loves being at Misericordia. And just like I said, and they all know my past, so it makes coaching easier because, hey, I'm gonna listen to Coach Chandler. He's done it at this level, and he was successful at this level, so it makes coaching easier. And I try to tell the guys, you got to live in the gym. I understand academics is big here. It's big here at Misericordia. Once you get your work done and your papers are handed in, get to the gym. I think a lot of guys just think Division III, hey, I'll show up to practice and do this and leave and I'll be successful. But that's not it. Go to class, get your work done, do whatever you have to do off the court, and then, hey, whatever extra time you have, don't play video games. Don't hang, come over here and get the work in. I think this team here that I have this year, they're always in the gym, which is great. And their GPAs are pretty high. So I'm very happy about it. And like I said, it just keeps me young. Like, I love the transition from playing basketball professionally to coaching. It wasn't easy at first. And Trevor taught me a lot, and I thank him for that. And me and Trevor were kind of opposite type of coaches. I was an offensive coach. Trevor was a defensive coach. And I think that's why we gelled so well when I joined Trevor on staff. And I think Trevor had no one to go recruit from far away, and that's what I started doing. I started traveling everywhere to go recruit, and it worked out for us. We ended up winning 2 championships when Trevor was here, and I think that was because we got some guys from pretty far away that we never had before, and just continue now since I've been here. We have guys from Texas, Florida. We don't discriminate. We want to bring anyone. If you want to come play basketball and be a good person on and off the court, hey, come to Misericordia. And that's where we're at now. I think that's what keeps me here, just seeing guys graduate and seeing them become from young men to adults. That's really it.
By the way, just for the record, Trevor Woodruff went to Scranton women's basketball, did really darn well there. There's the whole story there behind that with Dave Martin being hired at Scranton, et cetera. And Nate Davis at Gettysburg has a time. Folks, there is a story and a half there. He is now at Buff. Jeez, come on, Dave. You can get it out. Bucknell. And he's still there, doing very well at Bucknell. He took over for another former Division III head coach who went on to Richmond. Will, thanks for mentioning your daughter, because I've been sitting here most of the last few days looking at Arvell Chandler's face and last name going, is he? Because there's no facts on his bio about whether he is or isn't. He's not, right? Not related.
Nephew. He's my nephew.
Oh, he is your nephew.
That's my sister's oldest.
That's why I thought there was something in the smile. I'm like, there's something there.
Yeah, Arvell's. He's my nephew. Like I said, he didn't. And that's why I tell with recruits, I tell them that a lot of recruits come. Hey, I want to play right away. I said, I didn't play my nephew his first 2 years. You have to earn it. You have to earn it to come here. And I think that, it saves me a little bit with some recruits. Like, you didn't play your nephew, and parents, like, their eyes get big. I'm like, no, I didn't. Arvell didn't play his first 2 years. He had to earn it.
That's awkward. Have family gatherings.
Yeah, my mom was his grandmother. My mom was the tougher one out of. My sister understood. My sister's been around basketball her whole life with me, and she understood that he wasn't ready to play yet. My mom, on the other hand, was like, why is Arvell not? He's the best. I'm like, Mom, he's not ready to play yet. So, I got more from my mom than my sister. But he's earned it now, and he's having a great year this year, and he had a great year last year, and I'm sad he's graduating, but I'm also happy that, he came to Misericordia like I did, and he's gonna have a degree from Misericordia like I did. So I'm happy about that.
No, that's pretty awesome. Hey, let's, excuse me, cough getting to me. Quickly talk about the conference. You're 2 games in, wins over Stevens and Lebanon Valley, who's just not who they used to be. Got Acadia and Florham ahead of you. Obviously, this conference is kind of ever flowing a little bit, but DeSales seems to be, once again, maybe the challenge. But right now, record-wise, it's you guys, maybe Arcadia. How do you see this conference breaking down?
Yeah, I think Arcadia is the most talented team. You know, Adam's done a great job there. They have a veteran team. They were picked first in the league. Nas Johnson's back for his 5th year. They got 3 other seniors that have been there, and we haven't beat them. We haven't beat them in 2 years. So Wednesday is a very big game for us, a home game for us that we got to protect our home court. Yeah, you know, Scotty Koval always has the sales ready to go. You know, I know they were struggling early on, but I know in conference play he'll have them ready. You know, he's one of the best coaches Division III's ever seen. So, like you said, the league's up and down. You know, you just gotta win the games you're supposed to win. You know, and I think protect your home court and see what happens from there. You know, that's why I think Wednesday's a huge game for us. You know, we typically don't match up well with Arcadia. You know, so I think it's gonna be a fist fight. They're the second best defensive team in the conference. We're first, and I think it's gonna be a pretty good fist fight Wednesday, and it's gonna be whoever's put the ball in the basket more is gonna win that game.
You'll play them at home. Unfortunately, you got the away return on February 4th. You'll finish the season against DeSales at home. Obviously, Scott Koval's had a pretty good team, though a little bit down from the years past. Well, hey, listen, I could keep talking to you forever, but I got a jet, and I know you got better things to do than chat with me, but I appreciate the time and the insight. Great to finally chat with you. It's been way too long. I do wish you all the best. I'm kind of half intrigued with this conference this year, especially with the fact that Arcadia and Misericordia are on top, and the rest of the way it shakes out. But we always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I've been following you for a long time, and it's great what you do for Division III basketball, and keep doing it. Keep doing it. I think it's great, you know, and like I said, I appreciate showing Misericordia some love, and hopefully we go get it done.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. The long time part stings a little bit, but I'm slowly but surely getting used to that fact. Take care.
I have no hair now, so yeah, it's been a long time.
I hear you.
So.
Well, and I've gained stuff. You take care. Thanks for the time. Really do appreciate it. Have fun the rest of the season. We'll talk soon.
Dave, thanks. Take care.
Will Chandler joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Crazy. I think that conference is maybe a little undersung on how fun it'll be. I think them and Acadia really going to make that conference sing. DeSales could be a sneaky one to watch. Del Val beat Arcadia, so maybe they've got something to say. I sadly, the rest of the conference, Kings, Leb Val, Stevens, Florham, I don't think they're going to be all that. Maybe Stevens. We'll see. But thanks for Will for coming on the show. When we come back, we head out to Iowa, talk to the American Rivers Conference, in particular, Loras, the Dewhawks having a great season, but it's the ARC. Any given weekend, any given week, any given game, something wild could happen. What could be coming next? You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk. Ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Still ahead, we're going to be talking to two student athletes you got to hear from Merchant Marine, Barton and Grassler. Two players scoring double digits in points and rebounds together as sophomore and junior on a team barely anybody's talking about. Plus, we'll get an insight on what it is to be like a cadet. That's coming up ahead, plus my 2 cents on one of the convention items. We'll recap the convention briefly and look ahead at our Top 25 double take show ahead, if my voice holds out. All right, let's go to the ARC, American Rivers Conference. This is always a conference to watch in men's and women's basketball because you just don't know what's going to happen on any given night, on any given weekend, on any given week. Loras is on top right now at 12-3, 6-0 in conference, but Nebraska Wesleyan's a game back in conference play at 10-5 overall. Dubuque is lurking, so is Simpson. I'm not counting out Wartburg, who's 10-4, 2-3 in conference play. Buena Vista's 9-5 and 2-3 in conference play, and Co is 10-5, but 2-4 in conference action. Luther and Central, the only ones with record. Well, Simpson's 6-8. So's Luther. Central 7-7. This conference is insane, and it took me way too long to go chat to him about it. Maybe because I couldn't pick out which school I wanted to talk to, so I took the one who's on top right now. Loras, the Dewhawks, Chris Martin, 12-3, 6-0 in conference play. He joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about the insanity. Coach, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time. And I'm assuming you've lost some hair because this conference is insane.
Yes, 100%. This is college coaching will do it to you, but this league will do it even more. You know, I always like, you always want a couple games where you can let down and kind of relax. Hey, let's focus on us and do this. But that's not the way this league works. I think, coming to CCIW, I felt like it was very similar, as a player and as an assistant coach. And so this is nothing new to me to be playing, a sixth or seventh or eighth place team in the league, seeing that they're, 10-5. And so understanding that, Co, I think, is 2-4 in our league, and they beat Platteville. And they beat Elmhurst, who I think is a good team. And so credit to the coaches and the staffs and the players in this league. It's really good top to bottom, really good.
So what you're admitting is you brought the insanity of the CCIW into the ARC.
No,
You're finally admitting it, Chris.
No, I don't know about that. I like to think that I was a part of this league, being, going from a good league to a great league. But I think Nebraska Wesleyan coming in the league, I think maybe a team going out of the league a couple of years ago, and Dale and Nebraska Wesleyan and some of the new coaches in this league have really elevated this conference. And so I'm really thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think Dale's a little disappointed. He had this conference for himself, and then you all decided to wake up.
Well, I say that all the time. I wish he wasn't. My first couple of years, I'd had some more championships if they would have stayed at NAI. I think it's a great fit for Dale and their team. They can go on back.
Wow. Tell him to go back to the NAI. Yeah. I think D3's worked out for him pretty well.
I think so, too. I think he's done just fine.
We'll talk about what's coming up ahead of you. Let's go back quickly. Lost the opener against DePaul, then kind of started rolling from there over Kalamazoo, got a win over Blackburn, got a big win over North Central, and Superior before you got into conference play. And then you got off to a good start. Dubuque, Simpson, Wartburg, solid wins, albeit a tight one with Simpson. Then you had a bit of a stretch there at the second half of December where you stumbled a little bit. Westminster tripped you up by 5, which kind of raised some questions. And then Lake Forest by 9 with a win against Monmouth in the middle. I'm kind of more curious about the middle, but about that stretch. But tell me about the whole season so far. What's it been like from your perspective?
Yeah, so this is, I think a lot of coaches go through seasons like this, and I think some of the teams in our league are going through. We've been dinged up more than any, knock on wood. I don't know if I should knock on wood or shouldn't knock on wood, but we've been more dinged up this year than any other year in my career as a head or assistant coach. Whether it's sicknesses, we got guys with bronchitis and flu and missing weeks. We started 9 different guys, I think, this year, and some of it is based on how they're performing, and some of it is based on necessity. I think we're just now finally getting, even the early game against DePaul, who I think is great. Gavin Sarvis sprained his ankle really bad the night before, and then he tried to play in it and was okay, and then we lost, and then he played 4 minutes. The next game, was out for 2 weeks. And Jack Haynes, I think, missed a week. The Westman game, we had a guy sick. We had our 2 post players were both down. Jack Haynes and all conference players hurt. And same thing coming back against Lake Forest. Jack Haynes was limited, as a big guy for us. And that just, when you take a guy that's a 30-plus minute game guy, it just moves things around and it changes. And so we've been beat up, and I will say UD's the exact same way. UD's got 1 loss this season when they're full strength. I mean, you can look at their 2 losses in league. We didn't have Gavin when we played them, Sarvis, and they didn't have Jalen Scott, who's their motor, and he's an awesome player. And then they lost another game, I think, to another team in our league, and they didn't have Scott again. And so against BV, yeah. And since he's been back and he's playing, and I think a lot of teams in our league, a lot of teams in the country go through those injuries. And yes, it hurts in the moment. I think if you can get through it, and some of those guys have stepped up and played different roles and got different experiences, and some of the backups were starting, and you were asking them to score more or rebound more or defend more, and then now you get some of these key guys back like Gavin Sarvis and Jack Haynes and some of these other guys. It just elevated those role players a little bit. And so I'm hoping to, right now we're seeing the benefits of that as we get healthy and some of those sliding into those roles. But that's one thing I think at the national level, it's hard to dive in to see how good some of the teams are, whether it's Loras or UD or whoever. You're not going to dive in to see who played when and, who was sick and who's hurt and all that stuff. You just see Loras lost to West Min, but didn't know that, we're out a bunch of dudes and battling sicknesses. Not that everybody doesn't do that, but that's, at the same time, we got to show up and we got to perform. And I think we've been trending the right direction these days.
Well, yeah. I mean, the last few games in conference play against Co Central and Buena Vista, you got Co by 9. You talked about their big win over Platteville, which right now looks even huge or huger. Is that a word? Considering what Platteville did this past week in conference action. Then you rolled over Central. I'm going to circle back on that one in a minute by 30, and you nearly beat Buena Vista by 30. Back to the Central game. I saw Connor Reardon's squad in Vegas. They got 2 wins, solid wins. no, they weren't playing Redlands, but they beat Occidental, who's a pretty good SCIAC squad, 82-69, and beat a feisty Bridgewater squad 100-68. I thought Central was kind of putting it together and is going to be a really difficult team. How in the world did you beat them by 30?
Yeah, I just early on the game was a close game. I think they're down 8-0 to start. They're a young team and they're a talented team, but they're very young. And I think, and we got a couple older guys in our program, and I think that they're gonna figure it out, and they're starting to figure it out. And I think you're right. After Vegas, they were playing some of their best basketball, and I still think that they've got some things to figure out. But they're talented. And I think on any given night, I'll bet my paycheck by the time that this season's done, like you mentioned, the ARC is absolutely bananas. They're going to beat a top 2 or top 3 team in this league. I'm hoping it's not us. And so we kind of put it together a little bit. And the second half, we turned up the pressure. And I think some of their younger guards struggled to handle that. And I think as long as, we can continue to do that and dictate some of the things defensively. It's the first time we've ever poured into defense as much as we do. Normally it's called a scoreboard, Dave, for a reason. They don't call it a stop board. So I've always been bought into the offensive side, but this year we kind of tweaked some things and changed some things, and I think that helped us with Central. I think that helped us with BV, and hopefully it'll help us continue to get some stops and make offense a little bit easier for us.
Yeah, it's a scoreboard, but some coaches say they don't need to work it out. They don't need to see the lights work too much on it. Up ahead, you've got Luther and Nebraska Wesleyan both on the road. The Luther obviously is near the bottom of the rankings currently, but they're 6-8 on the season. They're not necessarily a slouch. And then you've got Nebraska Wesleyan, who's standing wise is right behind you. It's an it's mid-season, David. It's a good litmus test of where you all stand at this juncture in the race and what you're going to have to do the last 6 weeks. How are you preparing for the next 2 ahead of you starting this weekend in Luther?
Yeah, basketball is a game of matchups, and I will tell you, just like, Lake Forest here at Christmas, we talked about it, in scouting and film with the guys a little bit this morning, and they're uniquely different. Especially Nebraska Wesleyan's uniquely different. They're going to run the Merrimack zone, and they're going to get out pressure and do stuff, and they're going to run their point offense to a T and perfect and backdoor you and do all this stuff. And so they're uniquely different, where they're not setting a million ball screens, they're not doing a bunch of ISO ball. And I will tell you, Luther's the same thing. They're going to run a 3-2 matchup zone, and then when you don't like that, they're going to run a 1-3-1, and then they're going to go straight man, and they're going to switch everything. And I will say that's something that in the past, Lake Forest did a good job of mixing it up against us. And I think since then we've worked on the ability to go from zone to man to pressure to not pressure, and really our guys have bought into that, and we've doubled down on that. So the next couple of weeks, the next week, that's what we're really focusing on, being able to go into a game and being able to navigate it in the appropriate way, which I think would be a step forward from what we've done in the past. In the past, like, hey, we're like this, we're doing this is what we are, this is what we're doing, and just being able to see the game for what it's worth. And so going into Luther, we're going to get a bunch of different stuff, and we've got to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and we're able to ebb and flow with what they throw at us. And I think we've done a good job recently with that. And Nebraska Wesleyan went at that place, long drive. They're always awesome. Dale's a great coach, won 1 million games in that place. And so we're always excited. You don't have to tell us to show up for those games most of the time against Nebraska Wesleyan. I think the same thing for them. It's just a little bit different. We work on a lot more random closeouts from the corner, and hopefully we can make some threes and get on the glass a little bit. So no, we're excited. It's a good place to be. We're thankful that we're 6-0 and we're in this spot, and we're on this conversation with you, but it's pressure, and our guys enjoy it, and we talk about it. We don't dance around it. We don't not talk about it. And we know that we want to be in this spot, and we want to win a conference championship, and we got to do what it takes.
Talk to me a little bit about the details of this squad. Haynes, as you mentioned, got banged up, but leads the team in scoring at 14 points a game, 9 boards per contest. He's a 1/10 of a point ahead than Sarvis, who we mentioned as well, 14.2, 3.8. Both of them shoot extremely well. Sarvis at 51%, Haynes at 54%. And then there's other guys, I realize, but those two seem to be the ones that stir the drink, as it were, as I like to say. And then there's everybody else. But tell us about this makeup.
Yeah, those are two seniors that have been in the mix for 4 years. As freshmen, both of them kind of came off the bench, got a little bit of minutes here and there. Sophomore, they got a lot more minutes when we went 24-6 in the national tournament, and they got that experience. And last year, they're both all league players, and this year they're our leaders and our go-to guys. And so they've really bought into. I mean, I think Haynes is just he'll do. If you told him to run through a brick wall, he'd do it. If you ask him to be the best defender you could possibly be and don't worry about shooting, he wouldn't shoot. He would just go out and defend. He really does every single thing we ask him to be. He's highly efficient. He's really long. We're really just love what he brings to the basketball court. He's just awesome. And so we're really gonna, he's one guy like when he's hurt, while, Gavin Sarvis might be a little bit more talented and skilled and definitely, plays with his hair more. But, Jack Haynes is the anchor inside. It's hard to replace what he does. It's hard. He's just a fast jumper, rebounds his butt off, and we switch a lot of stuff this year. And because he's a big and he's still able to switch stuff and not hurt us on the perimeter. It's awesome. It really gives us the flexibility to do a lot of things that maybe with different, more traditional post players you can't do. And then Gavin Sarvis, I think, he's averaging a little bit less than Haynes, but in the league he's shooting 70% from three, knock on wood. He's averaging 23 points a game since he's been healthy and back over the past, 3-4 weeks. He's been unbelievable. I really give him some credit as a mind shift. Early in the season, like I said, he was banged up, so he's forced and he was doing things a little bit slower and he was doing things, making things harder for himself than what he needed to be. Not because it was intentional, but it was like, hey, you know what? I'm good enough. I can do this. I'm like, yeah, but you should just try to make it a little bit easier, Gavin. I know it's boring to just make a layup sometimes, but let's be boring and make a layup. And ever since he bought into being boring and doing fancy plays every once in a while, he's just been an unbelievable player. And having going through a stretch here, one of the best couple weeks stretch I've coached. So I'm really thankful that he's got and give him credit. It's been a mind shift. It's not a ability shift. He didn't do anything crazy different than what we saw at practice all year. He's just really shifted the way he sees the game and what he's willing to do. And that's a mature thing where I think as a freshman, sophomore, he might not have been as willing and able to do that. And so give those two guys credit, and guys around him, like I said, had to step up at different times and been in different roles, whether the scoring role, Nolan Brindy's, whether he's got to rebound for us or defend for us or score for us, he'll just do whatever that night calls for him. And same thing, we got a couple dynamite freshmen, and Kyle Kober as a junior, and some different guys have just been awesome for us.
I know it's a large squad, and I know it doesn't all come down to seniors, but a lot of these guys are seniors. Haynes, Sarvis, and some others. Is there a little bit of pressure that this is the season you got to take advantage of with this talent? Yes, you'll have other talent who are juniors and freshmen and all that who will rise to the occasion next year, but that's the unknown. This is the year to take advantage?
Yeah, I always feel pressure to serve and love these guys and do what's right for them for their senior year. Fortunately for me, I get to keep doing this, and unfortunately for them, they're done. So I feel, and my staff feels, an unbelievable amount of pressure to serve these guys their last year. I mean, I really do. That's honestly, I feel that every day. Not for me. And when I get to the gates of heaven, nobody's asking me how many wins and losses and how the orange thing went through the orange thing. I'm going to get tons of opportunities to go through these, have these experiences with my coaching staff and different players and my family. But for these seniors, I feel it. And I love these guys, Gavin Sarvis and Jack Haynes and Emmett Lowe and Pat Quanstrom. Those are 4 dudes that since the recruiting process to now, I've spent as much time with those 5 guys as I have my family over the past 5 years. And I absolutely love them to death, and I want to serve them just like I want to serve my kids and my family. And so I feel pressure for them. I don't feel pressure because of next year, what that looks like. I'll be honest with you, I haven't thought about that, this year, that maybe take a gap. Sometimes I guarantee at some point we will, hey, maybe take a step back, or what do the next couple of years look like, or where's this sophomore class or whatever. Right now, I'm just watching film all the time, not sleeping, pulling out what little hair I have left to try to serve and love these guys their last go around. I was, looking at our practice plan. I think they got about 20 more practices left. And I feel that. I don't know if they feel that because they probably want a day off here and there outside of Sundays. But I think at some point they're going to start to feel that a little bit. And so I'm just trying to do my best every day, and my staff is doing the exact same thing.
The fact you said 20 more practices is just a startling thing to consider, unless you make the NCAA tournament. Yeah, we are at that juncture of the season.
We're there. Yeah.
High scoring offense, but it is defense. Where is your yin and yang there? You talked about it earlier. Where is it?
Yeah, well, I will say in the past 9 years of my career, I was all about the offense. Defense, just pray. You know, we had some really good players play for me, and they could score the ball. Josh
spoken like a true professional basketball player, Chris.
I'm just being honest. And I say this year we went through a shift. We looked at our personnel, as all coaches do every year. You say, what can this group do really well? What can they do poorly? What do we might do poorly? And I said, well, we're switching everything. And that's a shift for us. And we're pressuring. You know, one thing in our program, we obviously value rebounding on both sides of the ball, and we value taking care of the ball. But one thing in 9 years, I've never really focused on turning teams over. And we're not a run and jump, press team. We're not crazy athletic, but we want to flip some teams. And this year, our guys have really bought into that, and we've talked about the analytics behind it, and so we've really tried to turn some teams over that feed into our offense, and our guys have really bought into it and love it, knowing we're going to give up some. We can try to play pack line, we're still going to give up some layups. Justin Hines and a pack line guy for the that would kill him, our former women's coach. But for me, I know we're going to give up some layups anyway, so we might as well get out and get some layups ourselves. And so that's really been the biggest shift, I think, for our program, is to buy into that side of things. And then hopefully our defense can lead our offense for the first time in forever. But at the end of the day, we love offense. We got a million specials. We got a million different things we try to work on. And at the end of the day, we try to get to about 90 every game. So we'll see how that goes.
There's always a million more offensive plays than there are defensive. And by the way, nice shout out. Nice way to slide in.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get a text at some point from
that was well done. Maybe you get a bonus for that. I'm impressed. Chris, I could talk to you. I've said this to all our guests. I could talk to you forever. Back-to-back guests who played professional hoops, by the way. Will Chandler at Misericordia, now Chris Martin here, who played in Germany and coached in Germany. Someday I'm going to dive into the rabbit hole and all that, Chris, on our off-court podcast. Cool. But in the meantime, I got to let you go. I appreciate the time. Good luck in this conference, only because it's this conference. It's insane. It's about as WIAC-y as the WIAC and the CCIW. But as always, we give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Yeah, so I'll try to be quick. So first of all, thank you. You're a beast. You're amazing. What you do for D3 hoops at the national level, D3 basketball is second to unparalleled. I honestly believe that. But the same thing I've done. I've been lucky enough to be on this show a couple times. I want to thank my wife specifically, and our spouses and our families, and higher ed and education and coaching. We get the fun stuff. I watch film with some of my dudes, and I get to make fun of all the Packers fans because the Bears beat them, and so we get to hang out all day. I get to hang out with my coaching buddies that are here in the offices. I get to go lift weights, and do all this stuff in the office. I go to practice and talk basketball while my wife and my kids are picking up the loose ends on a Wednesday night when we're at Luther, and she's driving to basketball and gymnastics and basketball and all this stuff. And so I want to say thank you specifically to my wife and my family. Yeah, but same thing, but for everybody, right, Dave? Same thing. You get to hang out with most good coaches, not me, but everybody else, and we get to be around this sport, this thing that we love, and our spouses and our families don't get as much fun stuff as we get. And so I really want to give a shout out to the willingness of all family members, of assistant coaches, administrators, the media. You guys are the heroes. You guys are what give us the ability to have such an awesome life and to be so blessed to be able to mentor and love these young people. If it wasn't for my wife, if she said no right now, I love my family, and I'm out and go make more money doing something else, but I get to do this, and it's awesome. And so I want to give a shout out to all the significant others out in the world, to all coaches, administrators, and in the media. So I appreciate y'all.
Well said, sir. Well said indeed. Also, the Bears.
Go Bears.
Yeah, man. I'm a Bears fan from way back in the day, but I've been quiet for a number of years. I let out a bit of a yelp the other night. I'll admit it.
All the Bears. See, everybody says the Bears fans are coming to the woodworks, but it's just like you said, they've been quiet. They don't even cheer
no,
about.
Man, it's
not
tough
coming
to
the woodworks because it's been there, but for a long time, just haven't had it
I grew up in Chicago, man. I grew up a Bears fan, but it is tough to wear those colors. It is tough. When my wife asked me about them playing Packers in the playoffs, I went, I don't like it. I don't like it. I do not. This is not.
Was rooting for that match.
I would have played anybody else. I do not want this game in any way, shape, or form.
You're not wrong.
Bad things happen. Hey, Chris, great to chat with you. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck the rest of the season. And I'm taking the quote, our ARC is better than the CCAW. That's what you were saying earlier, right?
I'm not going to go on record to say that. That'll be in every locker room in the country. CCAW is awesome, and so is the ARC. So we're both awesome.
That's not how I remember it, but okay, that's fine. I'm just trying to stir the pot, man. I'm just trying to get something to go viral.
Baines at.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, take care. Thanks for the time, as I mentioned. Looking forward to seeing how this all plays out, and I know we'll catch up down the road, but enjoy it. Take your time, at least with those 20 practices, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
I appreciate you, Dave.
Take care. Chris Martin joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Fun to always chat with him. Dewhawks again on top of the conference, but big games ahead. Every game in the conference is going to be a big game ahead. But Luther and then Nebraska Wesleyan in a week. Looking forward. I am must watch games, plain and simple, out of the ARC. When we come back, we'll go back to the East Coast, talk to 2 student athletes scoring double figures in scoring and rebounding. And it's a wonderful question, get you a little bit of the insight of what it's like to be at the Merchant Marine. Mariners coming up next. You're watching Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go on a personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, as we continue on this Monday. Don't forget, coming up tonight, we've got our Top 25 Double Take show for Hoopsville members. It'll be live and available on the archive for an initial period of time. To become a Hoopsville member, we'll talk all about that Coming up in our next segment, of course, we'll also have our 2 cents on one last topic for the NCAA Convention coming up. The old gray shirt may be returning to Division III, what it could mean. And we'll recap some of the other convention news or items ahead for Division III coming up in our next segment. Got questions for us? Email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. You can join us on socials. All that information at the bottom of your screen. If you're listening in the archive, at D3 Hoopsville is your easiest way to find us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. We're at facebook.com/Hoopsville and use the hashtag Hoopsville. Got all this reel done. We're finished. All right, one more set of guests to talk to today. And it's a program that has always fascinated me, especially when they were in the Landmark Conference, when I did a lot of work at my alma mater. Merchant Marine is one of those programs that you got to dive in deep to truly appreciate. And I'll admit, by the time we're done with this, we still may not fully appreciate what goes on at the USMMA, but their women's program is doing extremely well, not getting a lot of attention in the top 25, which maybe isn't the largest surprise considering. But they're going to probably make a mess of things for Scranton and others or I shouldn't say Scranton, I should say others in the Skyline. Scranton was the old conference when they were in the Landmark. They're 11-3 overall, or they were, still going well. Well, what does it all mean? And by the way, they got 2 players averaging a double-double. You don't see that very often in basketball, where you share the ball or get those responsibilities taken care of. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to chat all about it is a forward, a sophomore and a junior. It's Carolee Barton and Emily Grassler. Hey, ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today. Really appreciate it. How are you?
Thank you for having us. We're good. Thank you.
I gotta ask first and foremost, what's it like to play at a program that is playing so well, but maybe doesn't get much headlines outside of your own campus? Emily, we'll start with you.
I mean, obviously, like at this level, it's really hard. D3. We've gotten a little bit more coverage in the last couple of years, but all in all, Division III sports aren't as highly televised, as widely known as your Division II and Division I. But I feel like for us, we're a pretty good family, and we have a lot on our plate, whether it's school, year, just the regimental life of being at an academy, that for us, basketball is more of an outlet and less of a job. So I think that when it comes to being, televised, it's not as, or, recognized, it's not as important to us as maybe it is for people who are going to college to play a sport.
That's a good answer. Go ahead, Carolee.
To add on to that, we play for fun. Last year, I feel like we made a pretty semi-name for ourselves when we went to the NCAA tournament for the first round. But even that, we just thought it was fun. It was a great experience, and we just carried that on to this year with our new and younger team.
Yeah, it's interesting how, for everybody who's paying attention at home, this is a sophomore and a junior we're talking to. They're back. This is going to be a bit of a scary team as it progresses forward. Carolee, touching on that a little bit, obviously Division III is a calling for a lot of student athletes. USMMA, Merchant Marine, that's a calling for specifics. I mean, we talk about Academy, Naval Academy, West Point, even Coast Guard certainly gets a lot of attention. What is it about the Merchant Marine that attracted you and attracted the idea of going there and not only committing to the school, but committing to a lifestyle?
Yeah, so the different opportunities that the school has to offer. Originally, I was going to the Naval Academy, but my brother came here on a visit and got recruited, and he also goes here. So I came with him, and I really did enjoy it. I also talked to my father about it, about how the school offers, after you graduate, you can sail, or you can go any branch in active duty, and other academies don't offer that opportunity. So I haven't been out to sea yet. Emily has, so she could probably talk to you more about that. But just a different lifestyle and opportunities that is provided at the school that you can explore as well.
As one who also works for Navy as a fill-in broadcaster and public address announcer, and has done a fair share of women's basketball games this season, I I have a gut feeling their coach is calling, going, "Wait, we could have had Carolee on our team." Emily, yeah, there's a different hook, right? Because you do have to serve. That I remember years ago, there was a really good player for one of the teams that missed a semester because they were out on a boat somewhere serving. What's that commitment like? What was the decision like for you?
Yeah, kind of like how I said previously, like when we come to school here, our number one priority is, graduating and fulfilling that service commitment that we have at the end of the day. And unfortunately for us athletes, a lot of times that means putting your sport like on the back burner. So for me, I know third class year, I went out to see right after the NCAA tournament game that we played down in Ohio. I had like three days at home after that game, and then I was out to sea. Um, I was with Seventh Fleet on a MSC supply ship for 4 months, and then I came back in July and started class right away. So it means, very little time at home, less time to train in the off season for basketball, obviously, not touching a basketball while you're there. Our senior Hannah Remsen just got back from, 8 months at sea in October, just jumping right into the season. So for us, it means kind of putting that commitment that we have first and knowing that that's our number one priority while we're here at school, and then everything else, whether it's athletics or club sports or just other activities, is kind of like a bonus and something that we get to do. And I think that that's what makes our team so great, is that at the end of the day, we know that it's not all about individual statistics. We really have that sense of team bond because we know that we're here for like a greater purpose rather than just, to play our sport.
Great point. Curiosity, just for giggles, if you all had knocked off WNL, which interesting enough had another really good rebounding and scoring player and Mary Schlossler, and gotten past Baldwin Wallace, i.e. you'd gotten through the first weekend, would you have still ended up having to go out on your deployment, or would that have been delayed a little bit longer for the team?
Sometimes they can like work with you, like, the ATRs, they do is their best to kind of afford you all the opportunities. But at the end of the day, you do have that commitment to get your C days in. So at the end of the day, if it's really going to be a big issue, you're gonna have to go out to sea, and because that is at the end of the day what comes first. But usually they can like work with you around, allowing you those opportunities to play in the NCAA tournament, in finals, and for your sport. But that's not a guarantee.
Got it. Makes sense. Carolee, quickly back to a point you made. You graduate from the Merchant Marine. You can go into either Coast Guard, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine, or whatever, correct?
Yes, sir. Space Force as well. And then you also have the opportunity to sail.
Right. You can go out as a Merchant Mariner as well. And thank you for the reminder on the Space Force. I honestly keep forgetting it. It's still part of the Air Force in my head. Old space nerd myself. All right, let's talk about this team. Again, 11-3 on the season. You're 8-1 in conference play. Your 3 losses all came prior to December 3rd. You lost a tough one, but you kind of played well considering against NYU. Lost to Manhattanville and Hunter, but you're on a 6-game winning streak at this point. You're 8-1 in conference play. Emily, just overall, how's the season going from your perspective, coming off of 24-3 last season and that NCAA appearance?
I think we're doing really well, and especially like I think that we kind of took our, you can come off that 3-week winter break and you can be rusty, or you can hit it in stride. And I really think that we've hit it in stride. We're a young team. We have freshmen in the point guard position. We're trying to fill some gaps, with some big people who graduated last year. And I think that we've had exponential growth from our first game. And I expect that to, continue into the rest of the season.
Carolee, this is a team, again, as I said at the beginning, you two average a double-double. You're both scoring well into the double digits in terms of points. You're both averaging more than 10 rebounds a game. That's not a commonality. There's a lot of times you'll see someone with a double-double, but no one else gets that many boards. You two are both crashing the boards. You're both scoring a lot. What's it like to play off of one another along with your teammates?
I think it's really fun. Like our coach always tells us like we're unstoppable in the paint, and we're much taller than like a lot of our opponents. But I think working together, I think it's really unique because a lot of teams don't have what I guess our team has. I mean, I learn a lot from Emily, and hopefully she learns a lot from me. But I really do like enjoy playing with her because, like I said before, a lot of teams don't experience or share like this type of friendship and relationship on the court.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting is you play off of each other and clearly friends. For those of you wondering, I got to see them a little bit off air beforehand, and they are just yucking it up with each other and having a good old laugh, which is always fun to see with teammates. Carolee, what is it? I mean, the advantage that you two have, if you're both getting boards and you're both scoring, you two are in the top 3 in scoring. Hannah Ramsden also at 16 points a game, right in between the two of you. Well, basically the same as Emily. But the two of you, if you're both getting boards, both getting points, not a lot of double teams, right? Because the team can't double both of you.
If they're not double teaming both of us, which is highly unlikely, they're double teaming one of us, which makes the other one open. And I think that's where we kind of excel there and succeed, like high lows, or even passing the ball up the floor, just looking for one another, or just swinging the ball effectively enough where it gets one of us open, because I think that's where we get most of our points in the paint or in mid-range shots.
It certainly makes sense. And then Emily, we mentioned Hannah. She's the outside shooter, among others, averaging 16 points a game. You two have that outlet, right? You can play that yin and yang and kick it out if you need to possibly open Hannah if they've crashed down on you two.
Yeah, for sure. Hannah, obviously, she's been a huge piece of our team. She's our team captain. She's really stepped up this year, just taking charge. There's a lot of stuff that happens off the court that isn't always seen, and Hannah's just been like a great role model for some of our younger freshmen as well. And like you said before, when you have that inside-outside game, it's really hard to defend. We see a lot of different defenses thrown at us. We've seen a lot of like man-to-man matchups. We've seen box and ones. We've seen extended zones. We've seen sagging zones. So we've really seen it all this season. And, obviously we've lost 3 games, but for the most part, we haven't really found a defense that's really been able to slow us down offensively. I mean, we put up 70 points against NYU, which is the #1 team in the country. So really, like, our offense is what's like firing on all cylinders because we have those threats both in the post and, on the outside perimeter as well.
Yeah, that's 70 points. I think most scored against NYU. I know this season, I'm quickly checking. I think even last season, nobody put up 70. A couple of teams got to 68 on them, but they never put up 70. So the most points, at least in the last couple of seasons against the Violets. The other side of this is interesting. I looked at both scoring. You're both in double figures every single game, except for one, Emily. The Manhattanville game, you went 0 for 6 and didn't score. And I'm more fascinated by that because it almost seems like 0 for 6. That's not a lot of shots. So I hate to ask the tough question. Either you're injured, or was that just one of those games where you just knew this isn't working? I'm going to try and make my teammates better.
No, I was fine. I was just having one of those games that, like, you're going to have those days, and it was an off day, and it just really sucks that, it resulted in a loss against a team that we kind of have, like, a rivalry with. A conference game. It really is unfortunate that it was just one of those days and it was conference play. But it just happened to be that it was just not my night. And, hopefully that when we play them again, up in February, we'll have a different outlook on the game and a different outcome. So I'm excited for my get back.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's going to be the penultimate game of the season. It'll be the home game on the 18th. Interesting enough, one of just the only home game in 4 and the only one of 2 in 6. Just for the record, Carolee scored 33 in that game. So they picked their poison, and maybe they stopped Emily, but they certainly didn't stop Carolee. Carolee, from your vantage point, you're a sophomore. Last year really kind of came out, right? Like we all kind of got to know who you were as a freshman. A lot of times freshmen will have a sophomore slump. Doesn't seem like it. You're leading the team in scoring. You're a 10th behind Emily in rebounding for second. What's your sophomore campaign been like, and how do you avoid that kind of slump?
I just have fun. I know it's like I just play for myself and I play for the team. Like I don't let anything or anybody try to affect my game or mindset when I go into the game. It's the same mindset I feel like every time. Warm up, have fun, play for the team, help others score, help others be effective as well. I like seeing other people succeed. So when my teammates are happy, I'm happy for the most part.
That sounds about right. You're a small team. You're only 10 on the roster. In 6 games you've played, I'm sorry, I'm doing the math quickly. In 14 games you've played 6 players. 13 of them you've played 9, and in half the season you've played everybody. But that's not a lot of wiggle room, Carolee. What's it like to be on that tight a team, but at the same time everybody's playing?
Just a matter of trust for real. Like even in practice, it's a matter of working hard. And when we work hard, that's who plays, I feel like, the kind of like hustle that we have in a sense. On the court, like I don't realize that we don't play that many people or that tight-knit team, but even then everyone's still effective in some type of way, you know?
Clearly. Yeah. I mean, if you go through the stat sheet, everybody's got a role. You can see that. Emily, from your perspective, what's it like?
Kind of banking off what Caroline said, I don't know. I think that we're a small team, but we have some people who really just have like a huge presence and a huge personality, and whether that's, they're like the 6th or 7th person off the bench. You see those in games, we'll have like scoring runs, then we'll have a drought, or we'll have like a couple minutes where we need some energy, and then we have 1 or 2 people off the bench that really like bring us that spark. So we are definitely a small team, and we all are very close friends. We know each other well, but when I feel like we're playing on the court, it doesn't feel like that at all, because we have just the stamina, and when the subs come in, they really bring us the energy that we need. So it feels like we're a lot bigger than we actually are.
That's an interesting perspective. Obviously, tight-knit group as well. Emily, you just scored your 1,000th point in the last game out as a junior. There's obviously a lot more basketball to play. What's it like to hit that kind of milestone at this juncture of your career?
Obviously, like it's awesome. It's cool to, hit a milestone like that. I'll probably like, I got like a nice gift from the team, and I'll be thinking about that for probably, as long as I can remember. But like I kind of said before after the game, it's really special that I got to do it with this group of people. It's really special that I got to do it, with the 2 seniors on senior night, who are some of my closest friends. And the assist off for my 1,000th point came from senior Hannah Ramsden, which I just think is like kind of the cherry on top to the whole season. Like if I had to, think about it going anyway, that's exactly as I would, imagine it. So it was really an awesome night, in all, and I'm really just grateful and excited that I got to do it with these group of girls.
Well, the other things you mentioned, an assist. I went and looked, and Hannah leads the team at 40, but there's almost everybody hands out assists. It's an equal opportunity thing, which is fascinating to see. And Carolee, you're halfway to 1,000. Obviously, that's not on your radar at this juncture, but you're on a team that obviously likes to pass the ball, make sure everybody gets their opportunities. That's got to be a pretty exciting atmosphere to play in.
Yes, it is definitely a fun, exciting atmosphere to play in. I haven't really thought about that because right now, well, in the past I was worried about Emily getting it soon, and then now I'm kind of concerned about, or not concerned, but like I'm wanting Hannah Ramsden to get it soon because she's only 40 points away. So those are my goals in mind, to like make sure they get it. Well, Emily's about to leave for C and Hannah's about to graduate. So those are like my 2 goals right now. So yeah.
Well, that's a nice sentiment, to say the least. Hey, listen, we're in a safe place. You are welcome. I mean, she won't be listening to this, so you're welcome to talk about your coach however you'd like. Alexis Shields, we won't tell her what you really feel. We realize the 2 of you and Hannah kind of run the whole thing. She's just there as a prop, right, Emily? No, I'm kidding. Obviously, what's it like to play for Alexis Shields? She seems like a great coach. We've talked with her in the past. She's a go-getter, it seems, and really proud of you all. What's it like to play for her, and what's it like to be successful with her?
Coach Shields, she's very intense, to say like the least, but in a way that you like. Basketball is like everything to her. You look at just some of the people I like sometimes, if we were to compare her just to some of the other, faculty and staff that work here, basketball is her life. And I think we were just having a conversation about this at the boys game the other day. Everything like Coach Shields related usually has something to do with the team, whether it's her going home and answering texts or sending out emails. Our assistant coach, Coach G, who is also Coach Shields' wife, she's a part of the team and she's helped, especially both of us tremendously because she was a post player, learned a lot about like a ton of stuff from her. And they, you can tell that they go home and they talk about the game plan. And there's always just something, anytime you need anything, Coach Shields is just a call away on her off time, on the weekends, 11 o'clock at night. Even if it's just a dumb question, it's always something that, she's ready to answer or like willing to help you out with regimentally, academically. So I think like the most, impressive part about her as a coach for me anyway, is like not necessarily about basketball or about how she coaches the games or her plays or her game plans, but it's everything that happens like off the court and everything extra that is done, because it's really not seen and it's not shown. But I know that, if you were to compare her to a lot of the other, just coaches I played for, faculty and staff, like I would say she's one of the ones that really goes above and beyond. And I can say, I know for us that it's genuinely, greatly appreciated. And we see that. And I think that that's reflected in just our team as a whole.
Yes. To add on to that,
go ahead, Caroline. I was just going to say she could probably kick my rear end.
To add on to that, a huge reason to our success is Coach Shields, and nobody really sees it, but to even think about from break, we came back from Christmas break, you have to run 20 suicides. Like that's not going through anybody's mind. Yeah, that's what we were all thinking throughout break too, but that's what makes us so successful. We're still in shape. We had 2 weeks off, 15 days, and we're still beating teams. We can still run up and down the court and manage to be fine, and the other team's out of breath. So little things like that, it sucks in the moment, but it's just the reason why we are so successful, I feel like now, and able to outrun other teams. So
you made my stomach flip with the suicides. In my athletic days, those were the one thing I hated, no matter the sport I played. When I was a practice player in college for a women's team, when they went to do those, I went and got water. Last thing, I've taken a lot of your time, and you got to get going to other things, but let me circle back on being at the Merchant Marine. Caroline, you're coming out of the DC area, went to a pretty good school in St. John's College. I'm curious what attracted you to the institution other than, obviously, what I should say is academically. Like, what is it that you're doing now that you're really glad you went there for?
I think coming here, if I went to a normal college, I would have never, ever majored in what I'm majoring in here now. I'll definitely say that. If I went to a normal college, I don't know what I would have majored in. So being here, you have the two opportunities to major in marine transportation or be an engineer. And I'm a marine transportation, which is a deck major. And I've taken classes that I never thought I'd take in my life, which is very interesting. I'm going to say some classes you probably don't know: Terrav, liquid cargo, dry cargo. I'm taking CellNav soon, but it's just classes like that. If I were to say that to a normal person, they would not understand. But me, like applying that and doing that in the classroom, I think it's so fascinating, interesting, and I'm really excited to apply it for when I do leave for sea soon. So, yes,
that's cool.
That's things that attracted me.
Emily, same thing. What's your major? And then just give us a quick sense of what a day in the life of a cadet is like.
So I'm a marine engineering major, and I have like a shipyard management concentration. So you mean like a day in the life, like while we're at sea or at school?
No, at school.
At school.
Tell us how we wake up.
So I like to work out in the morning. So I'm usually I usually get up around 5 and then I'll go to the gym and I'll work out. And then we have like morning inspections and stuff with like our doors open. So everybody's doors have to be open at 6:20 in the morning. And they'll do like room inspections, and we'll have like breakfast all this time. And then classes usually go from 7:30 to like 3:30 or like almost 4 by the time you're, done. So we have class pretty much 8 hours. There's like a little like lunch break in there. And then usually we'll go to practice right at 4:15. And then we'll practice for like an hour and a half, and then we have dinner, and then study halls, and then usually bed. So it's a pretty busy day. There's not a lot of off time in there. It gets hard, we'll be sitting in class for our 7th period of the day, and then less than 30 minutes later you're on the court practicing. So you're definitely busy for every minute of the day here.
Yeah, there's no rest for the weary at all, right? Pretty impressive. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I could go on another half hour talking to you about what it's like at the Merchant Marine and what's it like to play basketball with one another. I appreciate the time you gave me. We should point out I was running late, so I appreciate you waiting for me as well. Thanks to your coach and others for setting this up. We have a tradition on the show. We always give the guests the final word. I know it's thrown on you a little bit here, but it's basically a chance for any of you to say anything that you didn't get a chance to say, or you want to shout out anybody. So Emily, we'll go with you, and then Carol A. Any final thoughts to share with those who may be tuned in?
I guess the last thing I have to say is go KP and beat Coast Guard.
Yeah, that's important.
Lastly, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. Yeah,
absolutely. No, thank you for finding the time. You all take care. Good luck the rest of the season. Look forward to catching up with you. Since your careers are not over after this, maybe we'll catch up with you next year and see what it's like going on there as well. Tell your coach thank you, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Emily Grassler and Carol A. Barton joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline, talking about Kings Point Merchant Marine. Certainly impressive ladies, certainly impressive team. May not be getting top 25 votes, but fun to watch as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, my 2 cents, the NCAA Convention, a couple things to wrap up if my cold can hold out. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com
or NABC 1927 on social media.
I believe sportsmanship is it's a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
It's on us to...
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to have that ad recycle. If you got questions for us, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. You can tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can join us on the live chat on... Whoa, my mic falling there. Live chat on YouTube if you happen to be watching the show live. Thank you if you are. Lots to cover, and we've had great guests today. We'll recap that in a bit. Let's talk about a couple of things. First off, the Top 25 show tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Ryan Scott, Tim Calderwood will join us on the men's side. Excuse me, the cold's starting to get to me. Gordon Mann and Riley Zayas will be on the women's side of things. Going through their deep dive, dubious, and debatable selections. Already saw some of the ideas out there. It's going to be a good conversation. I'm almost done with my top 25 ballot. It's tough. I would say the top half was not too difficult. The bottom half is very challenging. New top 25 poll should be out in a few hours. Men's is usually around 5 p.m. Women's a few hours after that, but usually before we're on the air at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's for members. So go to buymeacoffee.com/hoopsville. You're going to have a section where you can just give a donation. Below that, it's the membership. Go below that. Pick out a membership. Role player or higher gets you access to the top 25 shows live and the archive for up to a week before the general public. So check those out, and you'll get to... see what I'm thinking. You also get my top 25 ballot. That is only available to members. I don't make it public in any way. I might give you a snippet. For example, I'm still voting Trinity number 1, and I'm fascinated to see who the non-Trinity voter does this week with his number 1 vote. But I don't make my ballot known to the public unless you're a member. Then it is to the public, right? So go to buymeacoffee.com/hoopsville to gain access. Thursday show, noon Eastern. Next Monday's up for debate, depending on how I feel. This cold is not going away, so I'm on the adage that next Monday I'll still be dealing with whatever illness I've got. I've got a game at 1 p.m., meaning the earliest I could conceivably do a show within reason is 5 p.m., and then we have the 8:30 top 25. So I'm debating, got to talk to the family, double check some things. I'm either going to do that 5 p.m. show live, and then an hour or so after we finish that show, we do the top 25 show, or move it to Tuesday at noon. It may have a lot to do with how I'm feeling, to be completely honest. So there you go. Also, and then after that, I think Thursday, regular time. I don't think we're going to do a marathon this year. I was thinking about it, but I've got so many pieces and moving parts and other things that are taking up a lot of my time that we didn't do a marathon last year due to the truncated season that we had. We may keep the marathon on the back burner for now and revisit for our 24th season. We'll see. We'll come across that in a bit and debate it. All right. Let's see. Oh, this is NCAA Convention week. We have talked about a few of the NCAA Convention items over the last few weeks. Before Christmas holiday break, I talked about a couple of things. One was the automatic qualifying model changing to allow conferences 12 or larger to get a second AQ. This is being presented by the Pennsylvania Athletic Conference, PAC, and the United East Conference, UEC. PAC's at 12, UEC's at what, 15? I most categorically said no hell way on that. I think it's a horrible idea. This is what the USA South tried to do to get the grandfather clause that allows the MAC to have two bids, but they technically operate the Freedom and the Commonwealth as two different conferences. There are some exceptions to that. They have only one bid in football. USA South could never crack that nut. They tried to get legislation changed. That didn't go anywhere. I am stunned this is even up for debate. If you read the proposal, the position of the President's Council is opposing this, saying the current access through automatic qualification is sufficient and additional opportunities are better established through the NPI than increasing AQ access. That's a nice way of saying, oh, hell no. I felt it was a no, hell no for a lot of other reasons, including you put yourself in this situation. You created conference that were large, knowing the rules. You shouldn't get an automatic bid. Not to mention the fact, nothing against UEC. They're not exactly in the top half of competitive conferences. An AQ going to an added AQ just because they combined between the NEAC and the old CSAC doesn't. I hate it. I can't believe it's even on the legislation. I'll be stunned if it even comes up for a vote. If they're smart, they either pull this before the business meeting on Thursday, or they're going to find out at the business meeting on Thursday that this has got no legs. And they hopefully pull it without a vote. Otherwise, a vote would send a message that this is not going to be considered. I don't know of anybody who's for this other than those two conferences. I've yet to talk to somebody who thinks this is a good idea. The other one that we talked about, where is it? Apologize. Oh, the mandatory winter break. This was the state that between two specific dates, those being December 15th and December 28th, all winter sports, basketball, wrestling, ice hockey, have to take a break. You have to take a 1 week time period off during that 2 week period of time. In the old way of doing this, when we had weeks, not days that you had of a practice or of a playing season, by default, you had to take a week off during the holiday somewhere because the weeks didn't add up. You had to take a full week off somewhere. When we went to the days model, that evaporated, probably unintentionally, and now you don't really have a mandatory week off. I understand the premise of taking a week off. I'm fine with the idea of saying, listen, during your season, you got to have at least a 7-day period of time when the student athletes don't have practices, don't necessarily have to go to the gym, don't have to go work out, don't have to do anything. And now some schools mandate that in other ways. They may mandate that because they don't allow the students to spend any time over the holiday at the school, or they mandate that during exam period, there can't be any games, maybe even no practices. So some schools mandate this already, but outside of that window. So if you want to mandate that they got to take a week off, and to avoid any shenanigans, say, God forbid someone take the week off at the start of the season from November 8th to the 15th, play the first game of the 15th and go, see, we took a week off. If you want to play that and just say no shenanigans and say from Thanksgiving until mid-January, that's where the week off has to go, fine. But now we're talking about a 6, almost 8 week period of time where someone can find a week off. I'm fine with that, but not during that 2 week period of time. I don't think this gets to the vote either, because The position of the management council is opposed to this. Overly prescriptive, as individuals have an autonomy to determine appropriate break consistent with their mission and academic calendars. It may have unintended negative consequences for student athletes, i.e. limited access to on-campus facilities and need to find and pay for alternative accommodations. Fully agree. So those two we ranted on before the holidays. A couple other ones to pick out that just to keep an eye on coming up this week in terms of voting. Women's Wrestling Championship, establishing that. I'm sure that will happen. A National Collegiate Championship for academics, for acrobatics and tumbling, and another one for stunt. That's worth watching. Those are considered two different sports, even though they're crazily similar. I'll be fascinated to see if a National Collegiate Championship comes about for those two. I don't know. Emerging sport of women's flag football, that's going to get overwhelming support. A lot of D3s have gone to that, and more are adding it. There's interesting thing about professional sports tickets, changing some eligibility about that, and some other awards. Those things I think are going to go through fine. There's a thing about unofficial visits and the tightening of recruiting trips. That might go through just fine. There's a contact and evaluation for your college prospective student athletes require use of the NCAA transfer portal. It's a little inside baseball on that. I don't know it all, but I suspect that may go through. There is one for automatic qualification, required participation by conference core members. I call this a Johns Hopkins rule. Johns Hopkins women's tennis does not participate in Centennial Conference women's tennis schedule because they know they're darn good enough that they can just go out and play a non-conference schedule with no conference and get into the NCAA. This is essentially saying if you are a core member of a conference and you sponsor that sport, you must participate in that sport in the conference and go for the AQ from that conference. I endorse that. I agree. I think you're playing a little bit of games with that if you're playing a non-conference and saying to the conference, we have the sport, but we're not playing it with you because we can get our AQ our own way. Now, members may say, no, we don't like that because we're never going to get the AQ back. I get that. But in my opinion, no. No chance in hell. So there you go. The one I wanted to jump on, though, is the old gray shirt seems to be coming back. Criteria for determining a season of eligibility, minimum amount of participation, only competition triggering use of a season. In my read of this, it's essentially saying that because student athletes have so much on their hands, because that they're dealing with a lot, which I fully endorse, especially their freshman year, they may get to a point where they're practicing and they're like, you know what, I'm not ready to play. I'm not ready to use my eligibility right now. I need some time. And they don't want, because they're participating, for that student to lose a season because they didn't play in a game. And so changing the seasons of participation to, quote unquote, seasons of competition. A student athlete shall not engage in more than 4 seasons of competition in one sport. This is tricky, and I'll be curious where this goes. I could see this being a 50-50 vote, maybe overwhelmingly passed by those who are not fully understanding what they're approving. This was technically changed a handful of years ago to get rid of the gray shirt. This has been brought by the American East Conference, so the AEC, the Empire 8, and the Little East Conference. A number of years ago, and I'm forgetting how long, but it's going to date me when I realize how long ago, we changed to participation because the WIAC especially would adopt this thing where a student would come on campus, would never play in a game, but would practice with the team to some degree, and still have their eligibility, though they already knew all the schemes, they knew how to play, they knew all the rules, they knew everything. And they called it a gray shirt year because you're wearing a gray shirt, right? You're wearing a team gray. You're not wearing the colors because they didn't play. So they changed that to participation. If you participated a certain amount of time, then you lost that year of eligibility, whether you played or not. The idea was if you're going to redshirt, fine. If you're redshirting for an injury, if you're redshirting because there's other things going on, then fine, but you cannot be participating with a team. I'm still kind of leaning towards that. I don't love the gray shirt idea. I get the premise behind it. The rationale, I'll try and paraphrase best I can, but I'm not going to do a great job. Proposal empowers student athletes to control their collegiate athletic experience by offering flexibility in participation seasons. Transition in college can be challenging academically and mentally, and this policy supports the well-being of a personalized pace, allows struggling students to acclimate without the pressure of using a season of eligibility while also still being engaged with their team, which is also important for retention efforts in this challenging time in education. I understand and agree with that. There's got to be other ways. Maybe you say they can participate in a couple of practices during the week. They can still hang out with the team. They don't travel with the team. They aren't near the bench. They don't play. But practicing all the time as if they're a member but not playing, I think is an unfair advantage. I think for schools that are cheaper, especially, and this is why I'm a little surprised the AEC, Little East, and Empire 8 are throwing this one in the mix. Yes, more students are spending 5 years to complete their education, but that's obviously cheaper at a state school, right? This is why the WIAC did it. It's cheaper at a state school than it is at an SCAC or at a NUMAC or at a Little East or at an Empire 8. I get the premise. Maybe this should have been better written that the participation has to be no more than 50% of the season practice-wise. Instead of just wiping it off and saying, hey, the only thing that would kill your season is if you play. President's Council opposes this as well. Says this proposal, as it is contrary to the philosophical tenet that Division III should primarily focus on intercollegiate athletics as a 4-year undergraduate experience. Now, I realize that may change, that the 4-year tenet of an experience may change. But the President's Council's against this, I think, is rather telling. It's presidents who understand retention, presidents who understand the student athlete and money into their institution. It's presidents who understand how valuable and important that is. We talked to Will Chandler today about JV as a retention tool. Presidents against it, I think, is telling that this may not survive. It's either going to come to a vote. I think it's a coin flip. I can see some school on the face of it going, oh, this is a good idea. We can keep our student athletes in place and they get an extra year. Again, this is another piece of legislation that I wish was written differently. I get the idea of you wanting the student athlete to maybe have some participation. I think there's an unintended consequence or an unintended advantage that student athlete essentially comes in knowing the system. The only thing they haven't done is play a game. It also kills those JV ideas. I'm not really for this. I get the premise. We should have written it different. If it comes to a vote, I think because the President Council is against it, this either doesn't pass or is a tight vote. I don't think it overwhelmingly passes. If it comes to a vote. I think it has unintended consequences, and I'm stunned the group who's bringing it don't see those unintended consequences. I get that school's more of a 5-year experience. Technically, it was more of a 5-year experience for me. But I don't. This is going back to the gray shirt. And I think in reality, it should have been written more like, hey, they can participate in 1 or 2 practices a week, maybe. Or they can practice in the first half of the season, but if they choose that they are no longer going to participate, they cannot practice in the second semester of like a sport like basketball, in a sport like soccer, maybe after the month of September. In a sport like the spring, I'd argue you already know whether you're being retained or staying at that school, but maybe after the month of March. And even that feels a little late to me, maybe mid-March. I feel like we needed to put a line of demarcation in there to say anytime after this, you're not practicing. You can't be part of the team. You can be part of the team outside of this stuff, but you can't be part of the team officially. That's my take on it. I'll be fascinated to see how that one turns out. I think that one is well worth watching if the gray shirt returns. So there you go. We have, let's see, 17 things to vote on. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of them don't make the floor at the very least. Number 8 doesn't make the floor. I don't think number 5 makes the floor. By the way, there's amending in-region competition requirement down to 50% because so many teams are playing nationally and NPI is more of a factor. I don't know. I don't know what my thoughts on that are. Everybody makes up their regional competition in conference play for the most part anyway. So I don't think that's it. I think that's semantics. There's some NIL stuff that's more paperwork behind the scenes type stuff. So it'll be interesting to follow. We'll see if we can get an idea of what's going on ahead of Thursday. Thursday's show will air shortly after the business meeting has concluded. I'm not sure I'll be able to read the tea leaves, but if I do learn any information or we get anything that's reportable, hang out with us on Twitter at D3 Hoopsville. We will report it there. Anything that we learn about legislation that is moving forward, or if maybe some of the stuff's been pulled off and will not be voted on, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. There's the convention. I really wish I could get down to it this year. The schedule just does not allow. Again, I got a gig on Wednesday night. I've got this show Thursday plus a gig Thursday night. I got another gig Friday night. I could technically get down there for the business session Friday, but it's a tight turnaround from the night before after the gig. Get down there. It's down southeast of D.C. If anybody knows this region, it means I got to be out the door super early to make that vote, 5, 6 in the morning to get to that vote by 8. I think it starts at 8. And then back up here for a gig that night. I just don't see it happening. So as much as I'd like to, it's not going to happen this year. Reminder about buymeacoffee.com/hoopsville. Again, we'll be on the air tonight, 8:30 Eastern time with the Top 25 show. And we'll be on the air Thursday at noon with our next episode. Great guests on today from ETBU, Misericordia, Loras, and USMMA or Kings Point or Merchant Marine, depending on how you look at it. Thank you so much to those guests for coming on the show. I had a blast talking to everybody. Not one of those teams is receiving votes in the top 25 as of last week's poll, but Blake Arbogast from East Texas Baptist, Will Chandler from Misericordia, Chris Martin from Loras, Carol A. Barton and Emily Grassler from Merchant Marine. Thanks to Alexis Shields, their head coach, for helping coordinate that. Thanks to the sports information directors, Scott, Andrea, Adam, John, Joe, Alexa, etc. Not Alexa, John. There's a lot of Johns. Thank you for all your help with the show as well. Already booking guests for next Thursday coming up. Let me double check real quick, see if I've got anything I can definitely report. I know we will do a segment coming up with one of the top scoring players in women's basketball who you may not be talking about. Alexa, stop. Systems thought I said her name. So we're working to get a cool segment on later this week with Scranton and Catholic and W&L on the women's side. On the men's side, what the heck? This thing changed. Hang on, I got to change my view. On the men's side, are we already working on guests? No, I don't have them set yet. The men's side's a little bit more open, but we're working on it. Moving regions, moving genders, moving conferences, constantly changing. So tune in on Thursday, noon Eastern, for our next batch and see who's up on the tote board. And remember, a new Top 25 comes out this evening on both men and women, and we'll talk about it at 8:30 live here on Hoopsville for Hoopsville members. So become a member. Buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Become a member, and you can watch that show live and gain access to the archive up to a week ahead of the general public. That'll do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Great show today. Really enjoyed our conversations. Can't wait to have more conversations in the weeks ahead. We are in mid-January. Believe it or not, we are 6 weeks away from the end of the basketball season. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to get through, and we'll get through it together. You're watching Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios. Thanks to our partners at the Women's Basketball Coaches Association and D3 Hoops. If you want to talk Division III basketball, you've got to listen to Hoopsville. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.